When it turns blue, just click it, and
Okay.
then when it says you're live, you're live.
Okay, it looks like we are live. Can somebody confirm that we are indeed live? Anybody?
Yes, we are live.
Yes, we are live. Hello, everybody, and thank you for a commercial. Let me be quiet till the commercial's done.
Someone needs to turn off the volume of the watch page, by the way.
I'm trying to get that figured out right now.
Okay, commercial's over. Okay. Thanks, everybody, for coming back to welcome Amazing Audits for having the bravery to be this time. I will not be I'll not be the antagonist. We have Desert Sentinel here with us who wanted to. He looked last week and said, I want a piece of that action.
You left too much on the bones. That's what you did, man. The vultures came out.
I did. So we'll see what we can do. Just watch out with the hot mic over there. We also have Clifford Reynolds here, who's going to be reading all of the super chats and questions. So if you got any of those, pop them in there. We have Rajigal, the Unhallowed Knight, here for just for a little bit of injection of comedy. And the most essential person to any of my live streams, we have Tina, a Marvel Girl, here. We don't have a really strict format tonight. I was thinking, what do you guys think? Maybe 5-10 minute openers each, and then just an open discussion. Is that good with everybody?
Sure.
Okay, I think we have unanimous consent there. The only thing that's not going to happen tonight is going to be a super easy night for me because all I really got to do is sit here and make sure that nobody acts up. A little bit of over talking, I'm fine with. No worries there because I'm mostly just going to be BSing with the chat. If it gets to the point where I can't hear what the conversation is because the two of you are over talking each other, then the hammer's going to come down on that one. And the only rule that is absolutely set in stone is if I say, shut up, then translation, shut the fuck up. Everybody good with that?
What was that?
Oh, Jesus. We're already.
I don't have a problem with it. I hope we don't,
I don't think we're going to get to that point, but just for the, to reiterate to Amazing Audits, no talkie mean no talkie.
That's funny. That guy, he brought out the worst in me, the PhD guy, I'll admit. I showed my ass a little bit there, but I'll keep it under control tonight.
Tony's a great dude. Good friend of the channel. All right, who wants to go first?
I will concede that he can go first.
All right, Desert Sentinel, take it away. Loose 5 to 10 minutes. Just don't go too crazy long-winded.
No. In fact, this is really good because, and I do want to find out one thing. I have a little feedback here. How do you want me to address you?
Mr. Amazing works for me.
Mr. Amazing. Okay. You can address me as DS, Desert, Brian. My name is Brian. Everybody knows it. Desert Sentinel, however you want to address me. The reason I'm here is I did hear what you were saying the other week, that you were questioning people's criticism for the fact that they're not auditors. And I would imagine everybody in the room here will concede to the fact that they're not auditors and never audited before. I was an auditor. I identified as an auditor on YouTube. I had audited, and I was involved with quite a number of people who were, very prominent in the auditing community. People like High Desert Community Watch, California Guardian, Johnny 5-0, Laura Shark, amongst others. Ida Foxy Queen. So there's plenty of people that I had, rubbed elbows with. And I don't know if you go as far back as when Poetic was around. I knew Poetic personally. We used to talk all the time. Silent Citizen.
Silent Citizen, I haven't heard of. Poetic,
Okay.
what was his name? His channel just Poetic?
Poetic, yes. And
No,
there
sir,
was
I haven't heard of it.
there was a trial going on to where he was arrested. And that was where the Southern California auditors gathered at the Torrance courthouse and was going in and participating in the gallery of his case. It was eventually dismissed, had to do with the LA County Sheriff's Department. Poetic is no longer active. But born of that was the mass audit. I was part of the formation of what was coined the mass audit.
Beautiful, amazing.
Okay. I had
been
gone places where others had been arrested. I went 10 miles in on a military base and wasn't arrested. I had gone to other places where people like News Now Houston was trespassed and wasn't trespassed. So, I've gone where others have gone before. And I have my own particular style. I had my own particular narration. I looked at myself as
Can you
more of
please
a
mute your mic
journalistic
when you're not
style.
talking? Excuse me, I'm sorry. Can you mute
Yeah.
your mic, Audits?
Sorry.
Can't hear him at all. Thank you.
Yeah, I was more of a journalistic style. My First Amendment activities were more of a test in those regards. I used to iPod camera, had authority to commute from locations. Sometimes these locations would be new and unique to me. Other locations may have been a location where others had gone before. I was never arrested doing it. In fact, I was never detained and or questioned. Law enforcement never showed up. And I also did something
Bravo,
that...
man. Sorry to cut.
No, that's fine. This is good. I do want a little interaction with you. Not a problem. I also challenged the Robbins v. Pruneyard, which was a California Supreme Court case that, like other cases before it, where there was, and I don't have the case law in front of me. I used to know it off the top of my head. There were communities that were that were company towns, and people were conducting First Amendment activities within these company towns. The companies tried to suppress it. However, case law showed that if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, looks like a regular town in the United States, they were considered traditional public forums. And unique to California and New Jersey, by the way, that certain mall settings were considered traditional public forums. The public gathering places, the food courts, that sort of thing, not the retail stores. But you could walk through the middle of an indoor mall and even in some cases an outdoor mall, and that would be considered a traditional public forum. I did have interaction. I did have to contact a few mall security offices and mall ownerships and discuss with them the fact I had one mall that really didn't pay much attention to me, except they thought I was casing the joint for a certain purpose of, like getting some idea of how their mall is laid out or something. But another mall, the security asked me to leave because I was recording in the food court, and they apologized to me. And a third mall that was owned by the government of Australia, of all things, they didn't like the fact that I was using a camcorder because it looked too professional, but my cell phone would have been just fine. So I had some back and forth with them. Others, like California Guardian, also did some auditing along these lines of Pruneyard. So just to give you a little background, so you know who you're talking to. And
That's very good. I'm glad that answers a lot of questions for me right there.
Okay. I was going to ask you if you had any other questions about me, about my background, who I am, anything. I've been doxxed before. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to dox anybody, but as far as your background goes, you were a First Amendment auditor, but I mean, do you have any time in law enforcement or the military with that?
No.
Okay. And you've never been in prison?
No.
And you did spend some time in jail, but not over auditing. Is that correct? Or you've never been to jail?
I had one conviction when I was 18 of reckless driving.
Okay. I had a similar conviction with a DUI, so before I was 18. That being said, I don't have any more questions for you at this time. I think I have a good background on where you're basing your stance. If you want to continue and let us know what your criticism or whatever is, I would just say, bravo, you didn't get arrested. That's very good. It seems like keeping that journalistic angle helped.
Yeah, and just to say, when I was out with others and when I was first kind of, as they say, learning the ropes of this, there had been a few encounters, but it was mostly with others with law enforcement, but nothing to the point of actually being detained or handcuffed or anything like that. No.
I didn't get a chance to watch your material. I wanted to today before I came on the show. I just got busy. Were you in some way compliant with the police officers while you audited, or did you push when you were doing your audits as well?
No, nothing like that. I mean, I always kind of tried to, when I was with others and more than one law enforcement officer showed up, I would kind of take them to the side and start asking them, stupid reference questions and that sort of thing, and kind of distracted them. That was just my own little style. But you won't find my content on YouTube unless you find somebody who possibly maybe mirrored it, because I nuked my channels.
Yeah, there was someone who had some of it.
Yeah. There may be a little bit out there.
If you have nothing more to say, or did you have more time you wanted to use right now?
Just real quick, again, you already asked, like I said, I'm not an attorney, never was. I've never been a law enforcement officer. I've worked aerospace. I'm a mechanic now by trade. So, I'm just a guy on YouTube, and I had a channel and I used to do things, but there were stances in my mind. What
about circumstances?
Yeah, I had somebody when he was exposed as a police impersonator who used a gun, who took a girl at gunpoint and raped her, helped expose them, and allegedly that my original channel, along with somebody else's, was taken down because of it. And this was one of the most premier auditors out there. Somebody that I had met personally once.
Very well. Well, I would just like to say that I do the auditing for a number of reasons, and I take a journalistic approach. What you guys don't see on a lot of the videos is the beginning of the engagement. When someone engages or comes up to me, they initiate a conversation or a contact. If they're respectful to me, and they basically, I just don't want to be called names, you know what I mean, or made out to be something I'm not. So when they start, or they'll lie, I really have no respect for somebody. If I stock shelves at Safeway, I don't have to lie, and no one dies, and my job otherwise helps society go on. But so I criticize the police and for the way they do their jobs, and I hold them accountable. They're not good cops. They come up, they tell you, you have to ID. I had a cop tell me on one of my videos, federal law states that every time you interact with the law enforcer, you have to give your ID. That was like one of the first things he said to me. He hadn't got my name yet. You know what I mean? It's very disrespectful. So at that point, I may go off the handle. I'm just saying, I can get triggered off at that point, and I try to keep my cool. Some people just bring out the worst in me. And I stand my ground. I don't give up. The cop will be like, well, you're going to go to jail. If you do that again, you're going to go to jail. I'm like, no, I'm not going to jail. I'm not breaking the law. I haven't harmed anyone. And they just make it into something. I currently have multiple obstruction of justice charges that, I mean, that's debatable in my opinion. Schrodinger, I know how he feels, and a lot of people on his channel probably feel the same way. On my end of the spectrum, I don't see that I broke any trespassing law or obstruction law or how a box cutter could be carried a concealed weapon. So these cops have filed fictitious charges on me recently that, you know, they're not going to get any play with me. I don't think that they're even on my level. It's different levels, and they're not on mine. So they're not really even supposed to be interacting with me. That being said, if my First Amendment audits go like they're supposed to, then I won't see a law enforcement officer, and I'll walk away and I'll give that location or that corner or whatever, those people in that city, an A+. As long as none of them threw hot coffee on me, which I had a woman have her 13-year-old son throw hot coffee on me. But just because I didn't agree with her, she got out of her car and flexed on me, was wanting to know my story. And I told her if she would have been nice, you know, I wouldn't have had a problem with that. We could have sat and talked, but she didn't like that answer, so she had to hurt me. And I've been attempted to run over by a truck before. It's not the cops either that are the worst problem out there. It's the supporters. You know, these worst cops in Las Vegas, the worst ones, the real ones that everyone on the streets know are the bad guys. Man, they'll drive right by me with my sign out, or I'll even talk shit to them. But I'm just doing my job when I do that. You know, that's all I had to say about that.
Okay. And that kind of leads me into something that you touched upon there. Do you consider yourself a journalist?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you follow any sort of code of conduct as far as journalism is concerned?
Well, I'll be honest, I didn't know that I knew there would be criticism when I practiced my journalism and my art. So, I mean, it's criticism. People are going to criticize. I can't make them all happy. I've said this before on Schrodinger's channel. If people give me some time, they listen to me, they see me, I'm going to turn them. They're not going to be on the blue line side anymore. And all of you people will be on my side eventually. It's just it's a time thing. The cops haven't come and given you all that vaccine. A lot of people are not going to want that. And anyways, there'll be things that come along when there's no food on the shelves here real soon. Then people are going to be agreeing with me a lot more. I see those lines get longer every day.
Well, I'm just getting. I was just discussing your journalistic ethics, and that. I mean, I mimicked a journalist. I'm not a journalist. I'm consider myself a biased skeptic now, but when I was doing my tests, I mimicked journalism. But the one thing that I did understand as far as a code of conduct of journalism, you know, that you're not supposed to become the story. Are you aware of that?
I'm just doing my job out there. No, I wasn't aware of that rule of conduct.
Yeah,
that's the journalistic rule of conduct, as you put it.
Yeah, that's pretty much number one. But you also are kind of saying that this is an art. Are you more of an artist, an advocate, or activist protester? I mean, how would you really describe yourself and what you do?
Well, it's hard to come on it. I've a few all at this. I may go down to the public building and try to interact with those people in an objective fashion and show the people of the public what it's like to go out of their homes and have to get something from the courthouse or from, the post office. I'm not going to do too many more post office audits. I'm not for them, but I got a couple I want to finish before I write that After that, what were we talking about? Journalistic integrity. I'm practicing. Here it is. I'm practicing my art. And when I go do cop watches, when I have the sign in my hand and I'm on the corner telling people how I feel about things, I would say that that's about 10%, in my opinion, roughly 10% performance. and it's 90% genuine, in my opinion. I don't know how that hashes out for everybody, but it's mostly genuine.
Yeah, I can understand that. When I went out, and people identified me as more of a journalist when I had my videos and did my videos. That was them, not so much me. But yeah, there's always a certain level of character involved when you're doing it. But so I can understand.
I would like to just clarify elaborate a little more on that if I could. So
sure.
I wanted to push a little harder. I wanted to do more First Amendment activities, and not everything was going to be able to. When I looked at it, I wanted to give more. I had more time to devote to it. I wanted to do more. So the way that I could exercise my First Amendment would be by presenting myself in what could be controversial way that more people are going to disapprove of. That way, we're pushing the boundaries. That's what I thought. That's what you have to do. You have to push the boundaries a little to see if the irritation causes the reaction.
Okay, so that's more
sorry to cut in. Sounds like a good spot though for me to cut in, because we're going to periodically have to pause to read super chats. So you've been
getting a lot.
Yeah, we've got several so far. We've got 513 people watching. If you've got those ready, and while he's gathering those up, you just said something that I did want to touch on, because you and I had talked about pushing the boundaries, and where, in my experience, from being an observer, where that ends up. Just a few days ago, the First Amendment Auditor Ian McGuire was sentenced to 5 years in prison for harassment. So just another example of an auditor who had to keep pushing the envelope. And I told you that road ends up in one spot, and that's where his train is stopping. All right, Cliff, if you would.
Okay, so we got Ernesto Villegas, I think his name is, $5. You need a debate against News Now Patrick, SGV, or Auditing America. SGV video, YouTube video was great earlier. Keep up the good work, pimp.
If I may, then I think that I'm one of the only auditors, if not the only auditor, that's come on here. So we're lucky to get this done.
Yeah, props to Amazing Audits, because each and every one of the people that you just named has been asked by me, and they will not step up to the plate. So maybe if people, maybe some of you guys want to get in their chats a little bit and put a little bit of pressure on them. They know where to find me. It's not like I got a tiny channel that you can't find.
Okay, so for $4.99.
Nice,
yep. So we got one from the kid, $4.99, no message. Thank you. We had this from last time. I missed it. Was Brady Photography asked, AA, if a cop saved your life, would you feel differently about the police?
Okay, good. If the cop saved my life, would I feel differently about the police? I have thought about the answer to that before. I don't think that it would change the way that I feel enough to put me on their side.
Fair enough. All right. Stephen Alley for $5 says, why not be brave and audit more military bases? By the way, SC, great channel, shipmate.
I would love to. There's in my area, as a disadvantaged person on foot, or a bicycle is what I have to wheel around on. And there's one base that I could get to. So I went and did that base, and I was thinking about maybe going back there, but whatever. That's kind of moot.
Yeah, 50 cal is one hell of a weapon.
Yeah. All right. So with no message, we got $1.99 from Artsy Fartsy. Thank you.
Thank you, Artsy Fartsy.
And Pronon 1990, $5, no message. Thank you very much. And I believe that's all of them.
So I wanted to address what was said before the super chats. May I? About the other auditor that's going away?
Yeah, but first, I think, Cliff, you missed.
Oh, yeah, a couple came in since
Mary M. and Elder Grown.
Okay, so Mary M for $10 says, for amazing audits, since you seem to hate cops so much, who are you going to call when you're a victim of a crime?
Know how to handle those. I do the victim of crime at least once a month. I don't call the police. I've been attacked. I did call the police on 2 occasions on the bus. But that was more of the activism. I wanted to make sure that the drivers understand that when they target a passenger for one of the policies, which they're not supposed to do, by the way, they're not supposed to do that. I've already talked to their officials. They're just supposed to drive the bus. But when they do that, someone can get hurt and get attacked. And if they think they're in the right, they're not going to learn anything.
Fair enough. Okay. Elder Grown for $10 says, so glad I could be here for the fun. Well, we're glad to have you. And
So glad.
Caucasian Sensation just came in with a $5 super chat. Amazing audits. You perform acts in which society isn't prepared to deal with, and that's because we've evolved better. You're not needed to do this nonsense.
I disagree.
Okay. That I believe I've caught up now. So
Yep, I think we're all caught up, and here in about another 20 or so minutes, we'll do that again. So everybody, just be patient if you pop one in there. All super chats will be read. But
Yep.
Amazing Audits, you had something. I think you wanted to respond to Ian McGuire, who is going to prison here for a bit.
Ian McGuire. I've never heard of the man personally. Maybe I know of his channel. What I have to say is that same thing I said before. I want the people watching to know that that's not the route that I'm going to take. I've already internally addressed that it's going in an extreme type of direction, and that I want to do something different with my channel anyways. So we're going to tone back that extreme, and then I'm going to go deal with the more of the public officials. I'll get records requests, body cam footage, and I'll still show the people what it's like to go out in public. I'll do less cop watches, but I'll still do that.
Yeah, just to give you a quick fast forward on Ian McGuire, his channels were Hate the State. Prior to that, it was So They Call It Freedom. He's been in custody since June of 2019. He pled out on a couple of drug charges, which gave him 6 months state time, which was time served by the time he was sentenced. And he was just recently sentenced to 60 months on 2 counts. And he's probably got pretty much 1 year served because they didn't credit the state time to the federal time. And he has a chance of receiving 54 days a year in good time served. However, my understanding that Ian has not been the model prisoner. He has had several write-ups, so that's kind of up to him at this point. But yes, he probably won't be seeing the light of day until, early 2024.
Yeah,
And
it doesn't
it-
behoove me to reveal this on your channel today, but as far as the outside life, I think I'm going to be able to manage to keep myself free. The inside life, though, I could see where mine might mirror that, because it's like still the authority thing when you're in there, but it's worse. The guards have you, in their custody, and there's very little you can do about it. If you mouth off, it's going to turn against you. If you keep mouthing off, they're going to use the I've already had this happen. They're going to use the little rule book that they have. They're going to just give you all these demerits and everything. They'll keep putting you in the hole. So,
yeah, that
One thing that I think.
Go ahead.
Sorry, real quick. One thing I think you could learn from Ian McGuire, not that you would do this, but don't send dead cats to people in the mail. That's a bad look.
I would agree. Yeah, I don't deal with dead cats or any kind of necro, nothing. So,
yeah. And I did want to say this because I want to ask you, because again, this is a rare opportunity, and I thank you, is that I do research, and part of my journalism, if you want to call it that, is when auditors get arrested, we track those arrests, through adjudication. And I used to report on the arrests. That was primarily what I did. I did a weekly arrest update. In 2019, there were recorded 347 arrests that year. 1 week had 10 arrests in 1 week. And so I'm going to look up your booking reports. We're going to find the court cases, and through that, there's a certain level of information that comes of it. So, you know, I have your booking reports from your recent arrests. I have your priors. I don't want to discuss any open cases. I don't suggest it. It's always a good thing not to discuss.
We're definitely shy away from that.
Yeah, but I was wondering if I could ask you a few questions about certain aspects of your Las Vegas record, because like you, and I try and correct people. If somebody calls you a felon, I'm going to correct them. I don't see any indication that you are a convicted felon. Is that correct?
No, I haven't been convicted of a felony at all. Was dependent on circumstance until found out. That case got dropped after 5 weeks in jail.
Yeah, it is.
Come to find out they didn't have anybody.
The earliest case that I can see is that there was some sort of accessory to harboring a fugitive. It was a felony. And the one thing I was curious about, because we had never seen this sort of thing before, that it is listed as denied. What does the court system in Nevada call denied? Is that like no prosecution or abandoned?
That's a very good question. I wish I knew. I think, yeah, they just abandoned the case on that. Just quick and short, I could talk about that case. So I lived in an irreputable part of town, you could say, in a down and out part of town at that time. And there was a highway nearby, Boulder Highway. And they had attempted to pull over a fugitive that they had been tracking out there on Boulder Highway. And that man started running from door to door to enter someone's home or bathroom. I think he needed to use the bathroom before he got arrested, was his thinking. And he got to my door and it was unlocked. And he ran in my house with all the police chasing after him. So the Las Vegas police, because that's how they are, man. They came in my house. They insisted that I had to know the guy, that it was someone I knew, and that they charged me with aiding a fugitive. Isn't that horrible?
And see, these are kind of the questions that go unanswered when we see this sort of thing. All I can see is that you were charged with a felony, and it was, by another word that I'm not familiar with, abandoned, so that the case never went to adjudication. So that's quite interesting. I mean, you did have a couple of felonies in your record as well. You had an assault, and again, if you don't want to discuss any of this, I'm not going to hold it against you. Just that
I'd relish most of it. You can't do any shame to me, man, because I never did anything. I never really was a criminal at all. I hung out with criminal circles and sometimes, but we never engaged in. Rarely did we engage in any criminal activity when I was around. I was just like somebody you could hang with and not get in trouble. Basically, it's still that way.
But now, just to say you did have a felony or a gross misdemeanor assault or a felony assault that was reduced to a misdemeanor.
Where was that case at?
Las Vegas.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that case. Maybe you could give me some more details and freshen up my memory.
This was November of 2010.
Yeah, like maybe some details out of the police report or something, because I'm drawing a blank here.
I don't have that. I have assault, injury to property of another, and tampering with the vehicle.
Oh yes, I know this case, man. God, man. Oh yes, yeah. I would like to talk about that case too. I think
Sure.
I had on the last show actually.
Okay.
So, I'm not saying that at that time I didn't really approve of that guy. He wasn't an auditor either. That guy was a lot different than me. I've changed in a lot of ways since my son was born almost 4 years ago now. So in that case, I was had gotten a fight, and my friend left me unconscious in the room. When I came to, I just was punch drunk. You know what I mean? And I had it in my head that I was going to get him to stop fleeing away. Well, I made the mistake of I threw a flashlight. I tried to hit his car, and I did. I hit another car. I didn't hurt a person. I wouldn't do something like that. Anyways, yeah, I got charged with a really bad charge, man. Attempted with a deadly weapon or assault with a deadly. And then, so I went back to my house because there were several people had surrounded me, and I knew I had done bad. So I was trying to get back to my place before I got arrested. And when I went in my doorway, my wife was there sticking up for me to like the neighbor girls. And I'll be honest too, I don't entirely remember this case. I used to take some pills at that time, and some of them gave me what I used to call amnesia. So in honesty, when I woke up in jail the next day, I truly didn't remember anything at all. I have had to piece it together from people's statements and what I remembered. Anyways, yeah. So I went inside the door, and the neighbor said that I had pushed my wife, and it's just not true. My wife was there saying it didn't happen the entire time. She told the cop the whole time. And as far as I know, they didn't get no statement from her confirming that. So it was just made up about the domestic violence too.
Right, because
I hit someone's car with the flashlight, though. I mean, I'm not denying that. I committed that crime.
Yeah, and apparently you had a couple of felony charges that were completely dismissed also. So safe to say that you've had some felony charges that were either reduced or dismissed on their face.
I would say that my criminal record probably, when I analyzed it, it looks like somebody that was about to go off into the felony zone or maybe capital offense. Like it just seemed like it was going extreme and it was going to keep going that way. So that was when I quit drugs and I moved out of the state I was in. And after that, no one offered me any. I didn't buy any. And I stayed clean. And
there's as far as Las Vegas is concerned, from 2011 to mid last year. So you stated that you moved, you got off drugs, you moved out of state. So
you don't have the Colorado CBI report?
No.
Yeah, in Colorado there was a handful of offenses and those things I think I had actually, those things I may have done, some of them. Okay. I'll be honest, I make mistakes. I'm not a criminal. I don't run around hurting people. I wouldn't hurt nobody. But one of them was a battery. It happened. I'm sorry. I still feel bad about that. That's all I have to say about those cases. I stayed out of trouble after I got off drugs. When I was in Colorado, I basically stayed out of trouble. You'll see where cops had messed with me and given me petty tickets. There was a ticket when I got, I was trying to take a shower in the park, and they gave me a ticket for that. I mean, it was just stuff I was trying to make it with my son or my wife. We were homeless, so.
Right. No, and I don't disparage you.
I don't mean to play the sob story. They say I play the victim, but I'm just explaining my story.
I'm not going to disparage you for issues surrounding homelessness. It's a subject that I don't have that much expertise on as far as the dynamics of that anyway. So, but you do, and I don't want you to discuss it. You do have 4 open cases, and one of them's a felony again. So unfortunately for that, you have another felony case that you're going to be dealing with. So good luck with that one, because there's a lot of people in this. You're muted again.
Thank you for that. Everyone that I talk to seems to think that case is going to get thrown out. The felony case where I had a box cutter in my backpack and the cop charged me with carrying concealed weapon. Yeah, again, like I said, I'm not a finder of fact. I will never be on your jury, for one. I'm not in the state of Nevada. I'd like to clear up too that I thought that was my first. I believe that was my first felony charge. So I had stated that before, either on Schrodinger's or on my own channel. I wasn't aware of there being other felony charges ever before. Maybe that's because they were lowered before I showed up and before I found out about them. But as far as I knew, that was my first felony charge. The one thing is you do have a prior conviction, a misdemeanor for
concealed weapon, right?
Yep, that's not going to look too good, is it?
No, and that's unfortunate as well with that prior, whether or not you'll get it reduced or dismissed this time. But again, I'm not the finder of fact. I'm just speculating as far as that's concerned.
Thank you, everybody. So far, it's been great. I think there's a wonderful energy in here. So much love to everyone, all the viewers, all the haters, people that think I'm lying, people that think I don't feel love in my heart. They're dead wrong. People don't say they love someone so much. They love people so much when they don't feel it. I'm feeling it. Maybe people do. I don't do that. So thank you, everyone. If things take a turn for the right later, then that's all right, man. We did good right now.
Yeah, I don't want to come at you, dude. I really don't. This is a rare opportunity for me to get to understand somebody. There are other auditors that I was more intimate with, that I've had discussions with. We have great debates over the phone with. Used to talk to quite a few people for, hours on end. I used to have little pillow talks with guys like Nasty Nathaniel. You're aware of him, correct?
I am.
Yeah, Nasty and I, he would call me up in the middle of the night and, we would discuss things and cuddle. But, hey, this looks like a good time before we move on from here. If you guys want to hit some of your super chats, you want to do that?
I think it would be.
Yeah, it does seem like a good time. I've seen several of them come through. I've been trying to pick up other questions and answer them as I could. If I missed them, then just pop them back in when you get a chance.
Cool. Okay. So we got the kid for $4.99. Thanks for exposing these anti-American, anti-police fools. We've got Suffered
I can't
GM.
respond. Man, I wish I could respond.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I stand for the Constitution. This is some of the foundation of the basis of this country. I'm upholding the Bill of Rights, the First Amendment. Those are American ways. And people project onto me that I'm something I'm not all the time. I'm not with any groups. I'm not an Antifa. I don't burn down buildings. I'm not out to hurt people.
Yeah, I'd like to make a quick little comment on that as well. For people who don't know me, I try to keep to the standard of being a First Amendment advocate and absolutist. So anybody's freedom of speech, no matter what speech it is, I can disagree with, I can comment on, I can criticize. However, I'm not going to suppress your freedom of speech. I didn't have mods on my channel. I didn't block comments. Everything was approved, and even the worst threats that were given to me, like cleaving my head open with a 50 cal, I would pin. So that's just where I'm at.
I'm totally, I'm in that same boat. Might not pin the 50 caliber. If you, I might call you out though. I don't. You can call names, but I'm not going to stop someone on my channel. If you guys want to hate on there, feel free. Come on over. If you want to see more dumb, subscribe to Amazing Audits.
All right, cool. So Suffer GM for $10 says, thank you for your stream, Schrodinger. I enjoy your content and thanks for your panel and guests tonight. All right.
Thank you very much. And I saw that and I wanted to add at this point that back by popular demand, my next stream will be the return of Artie, OPT lawyer, and Natalie lawyer chick. I've gotten so many messages, people begging to have those three back. They've all three agreed. We were going to do it a week from Saturday, or I guess a week from yesterday, but OPT is going to be on vacation. So it'll be the Saturday following that. They'll all be back and we'll find some videos and it's going to be a great time.
Cool.
We were a little bit worried about tonight with the Super Bowl happening, and my good buddy Team Skeptic is streaming also. But we're holding steady at about 530 people watching. So thanks everybody that's here. Next super chat, please.
Awesome. So Sweet Death for $10 says, amazing audits. I've been trying to figure out how you do what you do, knowing that you'll almost always have cops called on you. If you hate cops so much, it makes no sense to me.
Yeah, well, I'm fighting the good fight against them, It's It boiled down to the police had made so much contact with me. I've already said this before. They made contact with me every day, sometimes 2, sometimes 3 times in a day. And it was all about they didn't agree with the way that I was raising my son, or the public had an emotion about it. So they came to tell me what the public's emotions were. And I got tired of it, man. Now I make contact with them and they don't want to answer my questions. I've kind of turned the tables on them. I ask them the same dumb questions they ask me.
All right. Michael Short for $10 says, how do you feel about the fact that when you go into a public building and people are trying to conduct personal business and you're video recording, you're in violation of the 4th Amendment? Do you have a comment on that, or?
I can kind of answer that. Individuals cannot.
Sorry, technical difficulties. Go ahead, though. I'll wait.
Individuals can't violate your rights.
Did you say individuals can't violate your rights?
No, you cannot
That's
violate
correct.
my
The
rights.
rights do not apply to us against individuals. It says so in the Bill of Rights. It says to redress your grievances with your government, and that's who the rights are for use against. The public, if you say something the public doesn't like, there's consequences for that.
And this is along the lines of the 241, 242 statutes that were created during, or just after the American Civil War, which the federal government stepped in to protect the recently freed slaves from the states. And it requires a state actor to suppress your rights. So if you're an individual and maybe you are deputized to do an act that suppresses somebody's rights, it's the only time that you could be either held criminally or civilly liable on that. So an individual, in a nutshell, can't violate your rights.
Okay, I did have a comment though, and it's about the super chats, if I may.
Let me just chime in real fast. And as I said at the beginning, I don't want to be a big part of this, but this is something that's very often misunderstood by people. An individual cannot violate your First Amendment rights. However, say you're in my grocery store, privately owned grocery store, and you come in and you say, your prices are bullshit. And I say, nah, you're not allowed to say bullshit in my store. You got to get out. That First Amendment's a double-edged sword. I can't violate your rights, but inside my store, you have no First Amendment rights. Do you understand what I mean there?
Well,
so the First Amendment.
I don't fully understand that public-private area, and I don't know that it's been ruled on, but from what I understood about the nearest rulings to it were that if one member of the public is reasonably expected to enter that property, then it is public inside that property.
No, that's not how that works. If you come inside my private store, my house, anything like that, your First Amendment rights, your Second Amendment rights end at that point. I don't
know. I think that seems like that falls under a civil rights violation to me. I don't know. Because you chose to operate in the public eye, then you take on that public aspect.
Okay. This is where I'm going to step back out because this is not my debate, but I apologize for your misunderstanding. We can have you back a third time. Maybe you can pop in when we have the 3 lawyers. And no, we're not kicking you out of here. Stay the rest of the debate. I'm just saying that my interaction with you.
Sorry.
Oh, you come in as long as you're entertaining and everybody's happy to have you here. You're welcome to come in that night.
That being said, can I say something about the super chats now with regards to me?
Yeah,
I'm sitting here and I want people to know, I'm not getting any of that super chat money. I think I should get some of it. I'm being extremely open. I'm being honest to the best of my ability. And I'm answering those super chats mostly myself. So a lot of them are addressed to me. I just want that to be pointed out. I think I should maybe get a cut of it.
We're not really
That is
having
never happen. That never happens. You're a guest on the show. He gets it. It's his turn.
Hey, I may be out of my lane here.
Yeah, we're not having.
Schrodinger. I
Yes,
just
sir.
wanted to let Mr. Amazing know I'm taking no proceeds from this as well. So I'm here as a guest.
Right. Yeah, a lot of times I do fundraisers or miniature fundraisers and things on my channel. We're not really doing that tonight, but all of the proceeds from the super chat are going to my local brewery and or distillery. So next super chat, please.
All right. So Stephen Alley for $2 says, can you name any positive changes from your audits?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I was laughing too hard. What?
Yes, Stephen Alley for $2 says, can you name any positive changes from your audits?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I doubt that I would have continued my work if I didn't actually see changes around me. That was the first motivating thing. Before I had anybody that supported what I was doing, I noticed that, especially like when I came to Vegas, I didn't want to start in the Metropolitan Las Vegas Police Department. I was going to head over to Northtown and do the North Las Vegas for a while. But I had problems there in Metro first. For instance, I was at the downtown bus terminal one day and I tried to record something publicly that happened there. And 3 of the guards were extremely rude to me. I mean, they made me feel unsafe. They were rude to me. And I went and filed a complaint that day. So that continued like every day. I came back for 2 months to that same place and recorded there and brought my signs. And now people don't harass the auditors. If you go look at Prince Vegeta's last video there, or Chase from the Allen Report, they just went there, I think, and they're not having problems when they go there with publicly videotaping. So when somebody targets you in public like that, you could very easily have something harmful happen to you. That's why it's not good. That's why I fight against it.
All right.
I have more to say if people want to hear it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Should I go on?
it's up to you if you want to go
That
on.
was just one example. Yeah. So also, I have noticed on many of my videos, this is documented, that while I'm there with my camera, the police officers are, in my opinion, less handsy than they were when I pulled up. I could see them when I was pulling up. They were being handsy. Then I came, they noticed I had my camera. You could tell immediately sometimes that they change their whole demeanor. They'll even warn each other. They go, oh, it's camera, and they'll warn their partner if he doesn't know. That's because they need to change that whole handsy, rude behavior to fake how they are. And so I've noticed several people. One of them had a no license plate. I guess that was probable cause. They pulled him over. He had no driver's license. As I was rolling up on my bicycle, you guys can laugh all you want. It's my secret weapon. And I heard the cop saying, well, we're going to have to take the car, though. There's no way you're going to take the car tonight. And those people, after I audited that stop, they drove away with the car and a ticket, unfortunately. There's another case recently in the last month. It was in a zero tolerance area, several of them actually that happened in that same area that I helped out. On this one particular stop, they didn't have license plates. The DMV, people can't get in to get their plates. So they pull them over. I think the guy he had some other infraction or something, so they pulled him out of the car. That's about the time I'm showing up. Long story short, they found some drug paraphernalia on the guy in a zero tolerance neighborhood. I know from experience that you get arrested for that. Right in that spot, you go to jail for that every time. Those people drove away in their car. I'm just saying that. To me, that's a good thing. You guys might not agree, but somebody didn't get kidnapped, in my opinion. Two
All
people.
Right. Oh, we should go on now. So, C. Carl Go says for $5, how pathetic is it that the criminal has had so many arrests that he actually cannot remember them? Okay. Karen C. for $5. How is this helping First Amendment rights? Auditors are stupid people if they think they're helping anything. Okay.
If I may, I'll just make it brief.
Okay.
Well, I just illustrated in 3 different ways. It was the most I had to say on this channel when they asked how it helped people. So
Yep. All right. Sec here. I'm just entering. Real quick. I'm just entering one. Okay. So we got Big Papa Pump for $5. Says amazing audits. Found Bill side with the wings. Thanks.
that seems like that's none of his business.
He's saying audit gang members.
Yeah, no, he's saying like that bothers him how those gang members perform in their neighborhood where they live. Like it's none of his business unless he lives there.
All right, fair enough.
In the hood, we got the G code, man, and we don't need cops, and the G code just does just fine.
All right. Tom Castro for $5 says F the police in front of a little girl equals classless.
I'm sorry, say that one more time, please.
F the police in front of a little girl equals classless.
It may have been tasteless or classless. I haven't claimed to be a classy person, and I think they just heard Schrodinger say that. They just picked that up off of the channel. Yeah, it wasn't classy, but it exercised the First Amendment to a young person. I was proud that I did that. I still am.
All right. Teresa.
Let me just jump in.
Feel free.
To say what I said in the last debate. The word can and the word should are not synonyms. That's all.
Thank you.
All right.
Noted.
Teresa Richard for $2 says don't give him any of the super chat. Okay. Trump said for Trump said for $5 says for the distillery for sure. The kid has a $49.99 super sticker. Thank you very much for that.
I saw that. I can't let that go by. $49.99, even with no message. Pop a message in there. I mean, shit, $50. Come on, man.
Whoop, whoop, whoop,
Say
whoop,
something.
whoop. There's your message. He was in
All right.
support of me.
No, he's not.
I probably not. Maybe
You
he
like
needs
my
to clarify that.
All right. Stephen Alley for $2 says that's not a change to society. Nice dodge. Steve Arena for $5 says, why don't you audit in elementary school? They're funded by public dollars. Same difference, right?
That would be immoral. I try to stay away from immoral activities. That's blatantly immoral on its face. So thanks for that's a reach, honestly.
Well, it is a super sticker. It's a super.
No, thank you for the super chat. That's why I'm answering everything. I'm trying to answer everyone that I can.
All right. Pronon 1990 for $5 says, amazing audit, stop being a Karen and grow up, get 2 jobs like me. And I believe that's...
Why would I do that? That makes no sense at all. I mean, you would like that if I worked all day and I got no money at the end of the week, or all week when you have my check. I mean, it doesn't add up. I'm sorry. I tried that. It just didn't work. I made $30 an hour at the union. It's not enough money to get by. It's still just chump change for people to live on.
What about
Somehow
your son?
I'm crushing it.
All my oppression.
I
yeah.
said somehow with a regular job, I'm doing just fine.
Is it a regular job? What do you do again? You're like some naval coordinator or something?
I update electronic fire control systems on nuclear powered submarines.
That sounds fairly technical.
It's very technical. I went to this place called school.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's just a regular job. You were being loose with the verbiage there. But it doesn't matter. I'm sorry if that seems like criticism. I don't mean to be petty.
Well, that's the last super chat, so...
Cool. Yeah, no, a lot of the things that I have to challenge are just people that are just not... There's always 2 ways to look at something, man. You could always look at anything. If you want to look at everything that I say the wrong way, fine. I mean, there's no way to convince that person. But I think I'll still even turn half those people.
Good luck with that. I guess we've been kind of given Desert Sentinel short shrift here, reading super chats.
No, that's fine. But something that leads me to kind of my next topic of discussion is, what is your knowledge on form analysis. Do you understand form analysis?
You know, I missed that. I had to talk to my friend for a second. What?
Form analysis. Do you understand form analysis?
Yeah, I mean, I understand those two words. What do they mean?
Yeah.
Together.
Do you understand what a traditional, a limited, or a non-public forum is?
No. Go ahead. Elaborate for me, please.
Well, yeah, we will. Do you understand time, place, and manner?
Yeah,
And
place
reasonable
and manner is
restriction.
usually marked clearly. I mean, the place is where you are. If it's public, you're in the public. If it's private, it's private. You don't have any civil rights. Your rights don't travel with you in there.
But you get
And
public-private wrong. I'm sorry.
but
I'm sorry.
what's that? I'm sorry, Marvel Girl. Say it again, please.
You guys always get what's public and private wrong all the time. And
I didn't just get it wrong, did I?
Yeah, you understand that a grocery store is a non-public forum, correct?
No, I believe that that's considered a public-private area.
No, it's what is considered by the courts a non-public forum. It's private property.
Well, damn, if I don't go in a supermarket and there's not a ton of the public in there, I don't get it.
It's
Well,
Take that to the school.
there's several Supreme Court cases that I'm going to go over with you,
Dang.
and it discusses what public and private is, and this is mostly along the lines of government property. You feel that a government property is a traditional public forum?
Well, yeah, all government properties are paid for by us. We have the right to go around and all public areas and videotape and hold accountable the public officials there, as well as the property.
No, that's where a lot of this fails. You understand? Do you know Adderley v. Florida?
I have. I think I've heard of it before. I didn't take it, and I didn't internalize it. What is it?
This is from November 14th of 1996. This was a Supreme Court case, Adderley v. Florida. Now, one of the horrible things that you're not supposed to do is go through the syllabus of it. You're really supposed to read the record. But one of the things that is often cited within Adderley, that's been cited in other cases when it comes to forums and forum analysis, and is the fact that that government can, the people who run these facilities, unlike a private business, has the greater possession of the property, and it's a non-public forum. It's not a public forum. It's not a traditional public forum. There could be designated public forum, that to where people are allowed to speak there, but primarily it's not a public forum. And
when you're on private property,
in that ruling,
government property.
Yeah. And in the ruling, just one little sentence here that's often quoted in other cases, and this was given by Justice Black, who delivered the opinion: the state, no less than a private owner of property, has the power to preserve the property under its control for the use to which it is lawfully dedicated. You understand that part?
That's absolutely right. To the use for which it is lawfully dedicated. So,
right. So in this case, this was a prison, and they
don't have the right to keep you out of all public government buildings.
Yes, they do, because this was a prison.
That wouldn't make any
prisoners.
sense. Then why would we pay for them anyways?
I'm
sorry. I just have more to say, and I want everyone to know out there. And people are scared to do things, to stand up for themselves, but you don't have to be, okay? And something might take you to jail for a little while, man, if you stand up for yourself. But you know what? These people's power over us comes from our consent to that power. It was our power. You could take and consent has been ruled that you could take that back and revoke that at any time. So
you have to-
revoke your consent to these
I'm
people's
gonna have
authority
to-
over you and stop
I'm going to have to
subjecting yourself
correct you
to it.
on that. The only way that you can challenge this, and it's going to be a very difficult road to hoe, is you have to challenge it in court, and it was challenged. That's why there is a Supreme Court case called Adderley v. Florida, because it was challenged.
I love when people say that there is only one way to get something done, because I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that's ever the case. And I can say that prohibition was, the laws were changed because of jury nullification, and the juries were not finding their dealer basically guilty of the crime that they were on the jury for. And so the lawmakers take notice of that, and they make alcohol legal again. So you can do other things, non-violent forms of activity, even within the system, even better from inside. Even there's things you can do besides just a court ruling, and that was like the case. You know what I mean? There's a lot
Well,
more
I
that
think
can be
we're
done.
getting a
People
little bit
just
off
didn't do it.
I think we're getting a little off the track of the discussion of public forums here.
I'm sorry, was that okay? I mean, that's fine, but I was speaking, and I would, respectfully, I cut off a lot of people, but thank you.
So,
not doing
I
that.
mean, basically, you understand that there were protesters on a jail property, and they were asked to leave to the traditional public forum, which they refused. They were arrested, and they challenged the arrest. However, the Supreme Court made that statement that the state has the power to preserve the property for its intended business, and also adding to, for the reason there is no merit to the petitioner's argument that they had constitutional rights to stay on the property over the jail custodian's objections, because the area was chosen for the peaceful civil rights demonstration, was not only reasonable, but also particularly appropriate. That was basically when they directed the protesters to go to the curtilage of the jail, which was part of the traditional public forum.
So they were able to even stay on the property if they would have wanted to, and they wouldn't have been a problem, is what you're saying. Am I right?
No,
Am I
they couldn't
understanding that
be.
right?
They couldn't be on the property. They had to go to the public property, which is the traditional public forum. The curtilage,
What was the
sidewalk.
Okay, for clearing.
Yeah. Oh, you're with Grace.
Am I familiar with Grace? No, go ahead, please.
United States v. Grace. This is another Supreme
Sounds
Court
familiar.
decision.
I think I read that on the Auditor's handbook.
Right. And it's often misquoted in the fact that there was issues of people leafleting on the grounds of the Supreme Court. And that also included the sidewalks surrounding the Supreme Court. And I believe that the sidewalks surrounding the Supreme Court kind of look like or mimic the rest of the concrete around the Supreme Court. I've never been there before.
Okay. So that's
anyway,
our property for sure, right? Without a doubt, that's public property.
Well, they tried to push them back from the traditional sidewalk, which is considered the traditional public forum. But the one thing that the understanding of this is, and let me read you this portion of this, is that it was held as applied to the public sidewalks surrounding the court building is unconstitutional under the First Amendment, meaning you can't push them off of that property. The conduct of each appellee falls into the statutory ban, and hence it is proper to reach the constitutional question involved. As a general manner, peaceful picketing, leafleting are expressive activities involving speech protected by the First Amendment. Public places such as streets, sidewalks, parks, historically associated with the free exercise of expressive activities, are considered without more to be public forums. This is your traditional public forum. In such places, the government may enforce reasonable time, place, and manner regulations, but additional restrictions such as an absolute prohibition of a particular type of expression will be upheld only if narrowly drawn to accomplish a compelling government interest. However, here's the other thing. The court grounds are not transformed into public forum property merely because the public is permitted to freely enter and leave the grounds at practically all times and is admitted to the building during specific hours. But where the sidewalks forming The perimeter of the grounds are indistinguishable from any other sidewalks in Washington. So no, you cannot go onto the grounds and express yourself.
May I now have, or use, may I respond to that at this time?
Give me 30 seconds, and then you're going to have absolutely as much time as you want. I just want to welcome, I see Vilified Freedom in the chat, Masshole Report, and Artie's Corporate Fiction. Just wanted to welcome those three people. And Amazing Audits, you're going to have as much time as you want. A few minutes before that, we were getting dangerously close to a little bit of over talking here and there. So let's just keep a check on that. But you want to take 3, 4, even 5 minutes, you will be uninterrupted. Go ahead.
You're very generous. Thank you, everybody, for being so cordial today while I was here. Let's get some more super chats in there. I'll answer some questions. People love that, I'm sure. Whoop, whoop, whoop. What I had to say was that you were talking about a Supreme Court ruling. And I've never said that. I mean, I stand behind the Supreme Court rulings as much as then that they can defend me doing what I do. But, you know, I stand for the Constitution. I can't say that. What I can say about the Supreme Court rulings is this. I think that when they make their judgments, the only thing that they care about is private property rights. Those are the things that they consider mostly when they make their rulings. I've noticed that in my studies. Those ones that you mentioned, it also seems like those cases were about private property in the public areas. But that doesn't mean I agree with that. I don't think that people need, what are we just deciding now that our building is going to be governed by these people on the Supreme Court? I mean, if you don't agree with it, you don't agree with it. That's what I'm talking about. I don't personally agree with that. Even within the wording, it said that we were allowed to be there virtually any time without restriction or something like that. Am I right?
Well, the public sidewalk, the traditional public forum, the sidewalks that surround the Supreme Court, you cannot go onto the Supreme Court property and conduct expressive activities. And that has nothing to do with content. It's content neutral as far as that's concerned. Nobody can go on there. It doesn't matter if you're preaching. It doesn't matter if you're protesting. I think you're muted again.
Okay. What I'm trying to say is that the building is owned by the people. The Supreme Court can say what they want. That building has been owned by the people, the public. The United States owned it for generations. They can say that. And I'm proud of the people that stormed the Capitol. At least they did something, man. You know, they got out there and they stood up for what they believed in. Everyone, you know, there's people that don't think it was a positive effort. I don't agree with all of it. I'm sorry someone got hurt. But you know what? They've made a stand for what they believed in, and I can respect that. You know, it was dangerous.
So
that being said, I think that we should be allowed to go in any of these government buildings. What are they hiding? What are they so afraid of? We go in with a camera, break, and all of that entire opportunity. That guy not doing nothing.
Okay. The former president, the one that just left office, had a minor child. Is his bedroom just public domain? You should be able to just walk in there. That was the question.
Well, I mean, if you feel entitled to walk in there, and we did pay for that building. I mean, it's public area. No, you shouldn't be allowed to go in there. If people storm that area, though, because there's unrest and there's a basic public agreement that they want to do that, I could support that. Should some individual be in there in his room? No, that's gross in any kind of way.
So one guy in the president's minor child's bedroom is cool, but where's the
one
threshold?
guy's not cool. One guy's not cool at all.
Okay.
Even if
Many people is cool. One guy is not. He's saying.
Oh no, yeah, I got it backwards. So 20 dudes is cool. One is creepy.
I think when there's a growing consensus in this country that it's at a time where the tyranny has gotten to what we can tolerate, and people are at a point, they're getting there anyways, that they want to take some action. They're going to take action against the government. They're going to take back their but their consent to the order.
All right. I'm going to take a step back. Desert Sentinel, this is still your debate. I apologize, but holy Jesus.
No, that's fine. I'm just trying to get you to understand that, the Supreme Court has taken into consideration the Constitution in their rulings. Of course, that's what they do. And that there is forums within this country, and including the Supreme Court under Grace, that the traditional public forum is the sidewalk and a non-public forum is the court grounds. You cannot conduct expressive activities on the court grounds. If everybody were allowed to just storm the court for their expressive activities, they wouldn't be able to conduct business. You understand?
Yeah, no. And we want them to be able to conduct their activities because we want law and order, right? I'm upholding the Constitution. I'm standing for law and order. I want people to know that. That's what my job's about. I'm going to sue the police department in a RICO act on this trespassing case in the North Las Vegas Police Department because they turn their lights on me. They make my movement seem illegal. My activities aren't illegal. I'm not out there breaking the law. You can't retaliate on me like that, man, and try to get away with it. These Las Vegas this is Tyrant City out here. It's a good thing I'm here. It's a good thing I do what I do.
So you were also speaking about military bases. Are you familiar with Greer versus Spock, another U.S. Supreme Court case from 1976?
Does it pertain to public photography around military bases?
It pertains to First Amendment political activity.
I think I'd sure like to hear it. What date was the ruling again, if you had that? What year?
1976.
76, okay.
Yeah, it hasn't been superseded or anything like that. And in fact, it also quotes Adderley within the ruling. Now, see, that this was an interesting thing, and this had to do with Fort Dix. And there was a political candidate and his running mate that wanted to go there and have a speech for the troops. Now, of course, the military has kind of this long-standing tradition of being neutral, so they were not going to allow it. Under the Department of Defense rulings, under their CFRs, you have to have permission from the base commander to be able to go in for any expressive activities. Now, Fort Dix was unique in the fact that there was a certain level of public access and roadways, unfettered access, no gates. However, there was signage, and you were under the scrutiny of military police there. They could stop you at any time. They could search you at any time. The minute
we consent to their authority too.
The minute you stepped on their property, controlled by the Department of Defense, you could you basically submitted that you could be searched. So they basically said no. They sued, and under Greer v. Spock, and we'll get to the meat of it, that Justice Stewart was giving the opinion, and that because there was also another case prior to that. It was Flowers, and Flowers was at Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio. Now, in that case, there was a road that went through the military reservation that had been primarily abandoned by the military. And Flowers was arrested for leafleting. However, it was found that since the military had abandoned it, that they no longer had any sort of control over it. But what they held was regulations are not constitutionally invalid on their face, since under the Constitution, it is the basic function of military installation like Fort Dix to train soldiers, not to provide this banding directly power to exclude civilians from the area of his command. Any notion that federal military installations like municipal streets and parks have traditionally served as a place for free public assembly and communication of thoughts by private citizens is false, and therefore respondents had no generalized constitutional right to make political speeches or distribute leaflets at Fort Dix.
So,
And that,
are you done? I'm not. I'll mute.
yeah. Let me finish up here on some of the words that come out of this case. Is nor were the regulations unconstitutionally applied under the circumstances of this case, and that the Court of Appeals was mistaken, therefore, in thinking that the Flower case is to be understood as announcing a new principle of constitutional law, and mistaken specifically in thinking that Flowers stands for the principle that whenever members of the public are permitted freely to visit a place owned or operated by the government, then that place becomes a public forum for the purposes of the First Amendment. Such a principle of constitutional law has never existed and does not exist now. The guarantees of the First Amendment have never meant that people who want to propagandize protests or views have a constitutional right to do so wherever and however and wherever they please. And then they also cite Adderley v. Florida, which we went over. And again, I reiterate, the state, no less than a private owner of property, has power to preserve the property under its control for the use to which it is lawfully dedicated.
Sure. And just to clear up what Supreme Court rulings are, is they're determining where your rights end. You know, they're determining that. We're letting other people determine for us where we can go on our property. That's exactly what this is. That's our property. No way it's not your property, bro. That's our property. It's public property. The rulings are somebody's opinion that got ruled on. That's what it is. So their opinion is that my rights stop there at that point that they, expressed with the pen. So I may not be in agreement with that. Maybe there's other people out there more extreme that think, they have more right to be on there than the military. Oh yeah, I meant to start this off with a big ol', without all due respect, boo to any member of the military. Just boo, man. Boo.
Boo to your mom.
I don't need your views. Boo. All right. And that being said, if you want to go somewhere on your property, man, that's not, if you could get in harm's way, that's your choice. That's a choice people make. That's all I have to say about that. If these people, they eventually take all your rights and it becomes tyranny and you have to stand up against them with a gun. So not that I'm saying anybody should pick up a gun and harm people. I would never want that to happen, but historically, that's how it goes.
Okay.
So
this is a good time for us. We got a whole bunch of super chats piling up.
All right.
But I want to make one little admonishment to Amazing Audits. Mute. It almost seems like when Desert Sentinel is telling you these things, it clearly he did some research before he showed up.
I meant to bake him about that.
And I meant to tell you to mute. It seems to me like you're mugging for the camera, you're smiling, you're making a joke of this. You're not even listening to the things that he's saying. And then you're coming back and but it's public property. Who is the Supreme Court to tell us where we can and can't go? I'll tell you who they are. They're the Supreme Court, the people who are appointed by other people that we duly elected to answer these hard questions about where does this free speech zone start and stop. If not them to tell us, then who? If it's just arbitrary, then it's every man for himself. The guy with the biggest gun gets to go to the best spot.
When they formed this country, didn't they trade like 1,000 tyrants? One tyrant overseas for 1,000 tyrants in their backyard or something like that. It's the same thing. We're just getting more tyrants.
Why is he not being muted?
Oh, you weren't done. I'm sorry.
The next time that I have to tell you to mute, you're gone. It's
Just
that
tell
simple.
me when I can talk.
You're here, boot his ass. Yeah. This is my fucking channel. You're not going to come here and disrespect my channel. And then when I ask you politely, after letting you drone on and drone on and drone on, you're not just going to overtalk me and disrespect me. If you want to disrespect somebody that's on this channel who spent the time to come on here and talk, then that's one thing. You're not going to disrespect me on my channel. Now, if you want to come into the chat and apologize, then I'll let you back on. Otherwise, we'll, amongst ourselves, go on with the night and then go have the after show. I apologize, Desert Sentinel, for kicking your guest, but that's not how things go around here. He wasn't listening to you anyway. Go ahead, Desert Sentinel.
No, we were getting. I mean, it was amazing. Of all the points of discussion, seemed to be going boom, boom, boom. That in order that I had, just on some of the utterances that were going on. I don't know if I designed what I wanted to speak of, intuitively or what. But yeah, that. Unfortunately, and I put this in my little syllabus here, listed this under the myths, and part of the myths with certain individuals when they don't understand the law, they don't understand the case law that they seemingly throw at law enforcement and other government officials or even private citizens. They don't seem to understand the cases and what the rulings were. Now, I mean, in all fairness, Grace was a good example of protecting First Amendment rights. The law enforcement had pushed people away from the curtilage of the Supreme Court in that case, and it was determined, no, you can't do that. So it was established that the public sidewalk that surrounded the Supreme Court is still a traditional public forum. So it's not a win-win, but it is a win for the First Amendment. It's just you can't conduct yourself on the Supreme Court grounds.
Yeah, it was clear that he wasn't even, he either didn't have the mental capacity to understand what you were saying, or just wasn't interested, or just wanted to hear the sound of his own voice. But he was, mugging for the camera. I don't know if you saw it, Desert Sentinel, but he clearly wasn't listening, and his responses didn't have anything to do with the things that you were saying. And then when he overtalked me, that was just the end of it. So yeah, he can come in the chat and apologize, and I'll let him back in, provided he wants to follow the rules. But as soon as or for these to just walk into the president's kids' room, in the White House, he's not a serious actor.
I mean, the point that I wanted to make was, and as simplistic as it may be, as it may seem, you go to D.C. and you decide to visit the Supreme Court, you and your family. I mean, you're not being ugly or vulgar or, protesting in any fashion or anything like that, but you bring yourself a nice little picnic basket. You can't just walk up the Supreme Court steps, walk in through the front doors, find yourself into the chambers and sit down in the gallery and have yourself a picnic.
Exactly. And,
it's not open to the public for public use for any reason.
Exactly. Just like my channel is not, it's not a spot for anybody to just walk in and just stomp all over. As he found out tonight, just like the house that I'm sitting in right now, this channel that we're on right now, I worked hard for this. You're not going to walk in here and disrespect me, just like you're not going to walk up into my living room and disrespect me. I think we got a ton of super chats piled
Can I
up,
ask a
don't we,
question
Cliff?
first?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Marble Girl.
Go ahead.
I was so good. Isn't it property taxes that pay for most of the things he was saying were open to him? Like
I know schools
Public
and things like
buildings.
that are paid by property tax. I'm not sure exactly the allocation of all the different taxes.
because the only thing he would pay taxes is like sales tax, because he owns nothing.
And I don't believe they have sales
Right.
tax in Nevada anyway.
Yeah,
Do they have
so-
sales tax, or I know they don't have income tax?
So he's not paying anybody's salary or for any public buildings or anything, is what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. If they don't have sales tax, that's the only tax he would be paying.
I forgot. They don't have one or the other. They may have a higher sales tax to make up for it, and no state income tax, or vice versa. I don't remember. It's not like here in California where they tax your air.
Damn.
Yeah. But my question to people who say things like, well, I pay sales taxes. Well, if you pay sales tax and that meets your requirement to be a citizen and to have all the rights of a citizen, then why do I have to pay all the other taxes?
And wouldn't people who just are tourists also be the cop's boss? If it was
Right.
sales
That's
tax?
not how
No.
that works.
Holy hell, I'm going to book a flight to America and buy your country by buying a burger.
Exactly. I forgot we had an
Logical, this guy.
infiltrator. A very, very quiet infiltrator. It's not like you to be this quiet. You think about you just
To me? Why am I? Wait.
because
Yeah, well-
in not America, you can't just do all the things that he was talking about, like just running up into places.
No, that's actually not possible. So
Yeah, it's
basically what he said. I'm sure there are areas inside public buildings that are also private. You can't just walk into a public building and walk into the offices where the people are working and then just start filming their screens or something. That would have been insane. And in the Netherlands, well, probably every country outside of America, because you guys have like a bit more freedom to do stuff, but we have like a controlled freedom, right? He wouldn't last here. The moment he does his stuff, he basically just gets. They will talk to him at the police station. That's basically what's going to happen, because they don't take that shit. The stuff I see in the videos, I slap around like you, right? It's mostly Americans, and oh dear, if he would do that to a Dutch officer, he would basically be detained for, or even arrested, even for just public nuisance, public disturbance, insulting a police officer. That is a thing over here. I don't
that's
really agree
actually
with
a
that one.
crime there.
Yeah.
United States police are being crime. That would be insane over here. But
That's because you have
get
full.
super chats, or else they're just going to be piled up so high.
That's because you have full freedom of speech there. We have like certain things that. So you guys have full freedom of speech, but you still have the consequences. The consequences over here are a little bit more immediate. That's kind of the difference. You can't proselytize on the street like yelling at little kids they are going to hell, or what these soft sits sometimes of the frauditors sometimes do, just involving themselves in the business of the police.
Yeah,
Like Desert Sentinel said, you don't become part of the story, and
exactly.
and his ilk do basically do that. They become part of the story because that gets them views, right?
But before we get into the first super chat, this was not a super chat, but it just popped up and caught my eye. It said, Schrodinger's cat is like the new Super Bowl.
Oh wow.
I hope that's true.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I heard there's like 500 people less watching the Super Bowl right now. So
Yeah, we got 510 watching live. Let's let them hear some super chats, please, Cliff.
All right. So we got from Trump said $5. Broke with a smile is still broke. Stunt dummy Canadian $5 says, please ask the guest to elaborate on G code justice. Okay, well he's not here anymore. So, TS for $5 says, amazing audits. Whose house are you flopping at for free this week? You tick on the dog of humanity. Alleyway for $50 says, the kid said not a dime to this fool, and I second that. All right. Thanks for your.
Can I say something about that? What a disgusting little kitten, isn't it? I mean, let's be honest here. None of the debate channels even. What the hell was going on in his mind? He's e-bagging on someone else's channel. That's such a disrespect to Schrodinger as well. I mean,
Yeah.
for fuck's sake.
Yeah, it is. All right. Well, thanks for that $50 anyway. That's much appreciated. Steve Arena for $5 says, the White House is a public house. When is Amazing Audits going to hang out in the Oval Office? American B Savage for $5 says, so a box cutter can't be a concealed weapon? What about 9/11? Amazing Audits, you're a jackwagon. Christopher Hogan for Australian $5 says, questions for both. Do you think the Constitution would be written differently if done today, and what would most likely be changed? So, Desert Sentinel, do you want to say anything on that?
I was daydreaming. Please repeat it.
So, question, do you think the Constitution would be written differently if done today, and what would most likely be changed?
Would it be written differently today? You know, I have to go back and dig up some people and find out what they have to say about it. My family has been here since before the American Revolution. I had ancestors who fought in the American Revolution. So all I can do is agree with what my forefathers had penned in that document. And I can't, I'm not smart enough to say that anything should be changed about it.
All right, fair enough.
Real
Tom
quick,
Castro.
real quick, let me jump in. Another non-super chat that I think is just hilarious. It says, so Amazing Audits is Kansas City and Schrodinger's cat is Tom Brady right now. Revise that a little. Desert Sentinel is Tom Brady right now. I'm just the guy that kicked an idiot off my channel.
Cool. Tom Castro for $5 says, being proud of doing that in front of a little girl equals deserving tapped. First $9 says, Pat, awesome. Gerswald 3 for $5 says, you can't ignore the Supreme Court when it's inconvenient and cite it when it's convenient. Eldergrown for $10 says, I do not consent or not magic freedom words. Speaking them does not exempt one from consequences of one's actions. Mary M for $20. Thank you. The riot at the Capitol was not a patriotic action. 5 people died, 4 rioters and 1 cop. The Constitution allows for peaceful assembly. These people were rioters and traitors trying to overturn election results they didn't like. Eva Roberts for $5 says, I don't mind being that person, but what is he doing is very insulting at the least. He has no idea what oppression is, not true oppression. Sterling Ordez for $2.99 says, stop pretending to be the hero you aren't, Amazing Audits. Stephen Alley for $2 says, Vegas isn't far from Area 51. Can you audit that? Probably wouldn't end well. Baker Street Gaming for £14.99 says, why do frauditors, the moment they're getting arrested, lie about all their ailments or flop on the floor having a temper tantrum? Trump said for $5 says, Joe Cool was run out of uncontrollable stream for his racist antics. Weaponized racism is dangerous, and Joe Cool has been exposed as a racist. Darren Morgan for $5 says, how can I get on this show? You're both wrong and I have a few things right. All right, we have to talk to Schrodinger about that one.
Email me.
Yeah. Sterling Ordez for $4.99 says, the very existence of RSAT audits violates my rights. And Infidel 66687 for $5 says, thank you, SC, for booting the moron. Let me just see if there's any more super chats that have come up here. No, it doesn't appear that there are. So, oh, here we go. So Pronon 1990 for $5 says, as reminds me of Nathan Thompson. I wish I could debate him. Let's see here. That appears to be it.
Okay.
I want to hit up
Okay.
practical about U.S. law. I don't know about other states. Other states may vary. You know, every state can, under the Constitution, create their own state constitution and regulate themselves. And all I can say is here in the state of California, under the trespass law, there's a penal code 626.8 that has to do with schools, and schools can trespass people from the sidewalks and adjacent streets for expressive activity. And this was due to a state Supreme Court case that I believe that this was born from for people in the 60s trying to conduct themselves with expressive activity on school grounds. School grounds used to be almost an open park setting. People could walk in and out freely. So there is that. And I believe there is also, and I believe Eric Brandt had run afoul of this as far as some of his charges that certain expressive activities, when it disrupts schools, can also be against the law. So there is that.
All right. You got 4 more super chats that have come in the last couple minutes here. So let's just
Everybody's
read them off
welcome.
real quick here. So we got Damone Hogan. That's how you pronounce it, for $2. Thanks for exposing these frauditors. Peter C. Kopp for $15. No message. Thank you very much. Alleyway, $5. Says, I meant no money to Amazing Audits, not Schrodinger's cat. Yeah, we got that.
We got that, yeah.
We know you meant him. The Milky Biscuit for $4.99 says, Schrodinger, I would like you to invite Auditing America for a debate. When is this going to happen?
As I've said, I've invited each and every one of these people as best as I know how to get a hold of them. At this point, I'm incredulous that they don't know who I am. So reach out there and hit their comment sections in their emails and tell them that there's an open invitation. I don't know how much I can take of that whiny voice and how many times he says, wow. But, you know, we'll try to figure it out. I did have Auditing the USA on the line.
I was actually going to ask, is that Auditing the USA, but it's someone else? Oh, hey.
No, Auditing America at Selma. But I was emailing back and forth with Auditing the USA. He asked what channel. I told him what channel, and he responded. I guess he had looked at the channel, and he's like, "Yeah, you got a big channel." And I said, "Yeah, you got a perfect opportunity for you to get some publicity." Then he said, "Well, give me a few days to think about it," and that's the last that I ever heard of him. I've responded a few times and asked, "Well, what did you come up with?" And then I even said, "Well, you don't have to debate me. You can debate somebody else on the channel if you need just the radio." Anybody is perfectly welcome to look at those emails if anybody doesn't believe me for whatever reason.
Well, unfortunately, we touched on this subject, and I'll give credit to Amazing Audits is he believes in this and other.
He's a true believer. Yeah.
Other channels I put into the category as more content creators, and these content creators are not in it for the debate. They don't understand half of what they throw out there either. They just use it as a smoke screen for shtick, misinforming and disinforming their audiences. They run afoul of the law quite often. Every single one of the people that you mentioned have run foul of the law. Most recently, SGV News and Pedo Libre Audits were arrested in the county of Riverside. I don't know if those charges will stick at all. They're minor charges. However, they're not going to follow up as far as any sort of lawsuits or anything like that. One of the points I was going to try and make is every arrest, of course, you see in the chats, it's $1 million lawsuit, correct? Everybody sees it.
No, yeah. They're all going to sue and win $1 million. Right.
So in 2019, if out of the 347 arrests that were affected, now a lot of them are still pending, but there should be $347 million floating around in this First Amendment genre community. And all I can see in the past 5 years or so, I've been kind of adding things up. I had some other information. There was some new information that came in on a recent settlement, and most of these civil actions are settled. I could only add up about $300,000 in settlements.
Yeah, I know Eric Brandt netted, I think, 30,000 something.
Yeah, 30,000. News Now Patrick had a $50,000 settlement. However, I saw the check. I don't think he got his portion of it. No, the attorney, of course, takes a third of that or whatever was contracted with his attorney. Right. There's been some other recent settlements that had to do with the military base that only that particular individual only received a $1,200 settlement for their detention. This was an old case. However, that same individual did receive a $50,000 settlement on another case a year or so ago. So it does happen. However, it takes years. You do have to follow up with it. And
a settlement doesn't mean you were right.
No, and it's a settlement. And in fact, that was part of the issue with the one individual I was speaking with, that there was no disciplinary action on the actions that were taken against him by the law enforcement agency that took those actions. They basically settled them.
Yes. All right. So where do we want to go from here? We're at an hour and 6.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get to a couple other things. I wanted to ask him about if he knew of the DHS memo and what it meant to him, and did he understand where the DHS memo came from, what the DHS memo affects, and just a couple other myths of the auditing community, but we didn't get there. So. I think
I had that in my back pocket too when I debated the Point Poster 7 thing. I don't think he's actually read it.
And I was prepared to avoid the post office issue because in my investigations, there's a little bit of political influence on the side of the post office, depending on the region you're at, because I've seen plenty of people trespass from the post office and or arrested. And if it goes to adjudication, I see pretty much 100% conviction rate if you're trespassed from the post office. But unfortunately, there are certain areas of post offices that don't pursue those actions for whatever reason. Right. But I think what I just wanted to do for everybody in the audience is along the lines of what public forums are. You understand that public forums are the sidewalks, parks, plazas, the areas that have been traditionally used through the millennia of expression. And there is an analysis of this. This is what's used in law. This is what SCOTUS uses for their decisions. And and getting the understanding that when you are in a non-public forum and you are conducting yourself in an expressive manner, exercising your First Amendment rights, you can be trespassed from that area. And I wanted to see if actually understood his. And that was
No.
kind of how I was going to conclude this, because the Nevada revised statute of 207 200 unlawful trespass upon land, warning against trespass, and that unless a greater penalty is provided pursuant to NRS 200-603, which is basically, I think, under the Peeping Tom statute. I believe I pulled that. Yeah, that's the Peeping Tom statute. That's a whole other thing about your eyes being trespassed. Yes, your eyes can be trespassed because there's a statute for it. Any person who, under circumstances not amounting to a burglary, goes upon the land or into any building of another with intent to vex, which that was interesting. This is the first trespassing statute that I've seen that has this wording in it, or annoy the owner or occupant thereof, or to commit any unlawful act, or willfully goes or remains upon any land or in any building after having been warned by the owner or occupant thereof not to trespass, is guilty of a misdemeanor. And also because, most of these guys, they say, well, you can't trespass me absent of me breaking the law. Well, trespass, unfortunately, is a criminal statute. It is the law. They don't seem to understand that. And, well, I didn't get a warning, even though were told on several occasions to leave to GTFO, and they remained, which turns it into an issue of criminal trespass here in the state of California. So a sufficient warning against trespassing within the meaning of this section is given by any of the following methods. Now, of course, it goes through fencing and signage and this and that and the other. And get down here to section E, by the owner or occupant of the land or building making an oral or written demand to any guest to vacate the land or building. It is prima facie evidence of trespass for any person to be found on private or public property which is posted or fenced as provided in subsection 2 without lawful business with the owner or occupant of the property. So if you don't have lawful business, or if you conducted your business and you're no longer wanted, and you've been given a verbal trespass or written trespass by the person who has possession of that property, you can be trespassed. And if you remain, you'll be arrested for it. And for whatever reason, they don't seem to understand that. And it seems like Amazing Audits has a couple of those cases. Again, I'm not the finder of fact. I do not know the circumstances. I do not know if the probable cause meets the elements of the crime of those trespasses. Obviously, we'll be keeping track of his cases and see where they go from there.
All right. And, thanks for being here. You're welcome back anytime that we can find one of these people who has the intestinal fortitude to show up. They're few and far between. They're not like flat earthers who will just come out of the woodwork and hold themselves up for scrutiny.
Hey, Schrodinger.
Yeah.
You were roboting there. VComps just wanted a plug for his GoFundMe, if that's cool.
Oh, yeah. Let's go ahead and plug it. Tina, can you plug that into the
Will do.
into the description box? Am I still roboting?
No.
Nope.
I don't know why I would be.
It's my lack of internet.
Yeah, he's roboting a lot. Wink, wink.
It's
That
my
would
lack
be on Schrodinger's end then.
I'm a troll too. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Because I'm on my fiber optic, like super awesome internet. It shouldn't be roboting at all. So I think let's round it out, read the last several super chats that we have here, and then go over to Marvel Girls for an after show. We're right at the 2-hour mark, so I think it's a pretty good time to do that.
There's a super chat addressing me. So am I going to get the money for that, Schrodinger's, or?
It's in the mail. I already wrote the
Of
check.
course, yeah.
Yeah. I sent it to, it's Not America is the country that I sent it to, right? You just write Not America on
Not
the
America.
envelope?
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Oyster-
You're showing another screen, by the way.
Radical, hoist your sails and
What the hell
invade.
screen am I
Sorry
showing?
about
looks
that.
like you're ready
I
to
was
go.
trying to get the thing. I keep
All
forgetting.
right. Well,
I don't have
You can't-
2 monitors like you.
I'm just saying you're showing
Thank you.
DMs on
I do appreciate it.
Discord right
I do
now.
appreciate it. Thank you.
I don't know what she's.
All right.
She said
I see
the
cute
thing.
dogs now.
What?
Go ahead, Cliff. You're gonna Clifford Reynolds. You go ahead, right? Need to do the super chats. I'm gonna read
Yeah,
that from Mary M though.
Okay.
All right, I'll do the rest. Yeah. So Stroke Assaulter for Canadian $10 says amazing audits. Your personal deportment, presentation, and display of ineptitude only shows you're a petulant, passive aggressive. Wow. Okay. Eric Fisher-X for just thanks so much. Says beer money because I can. It shows the amazing audits has no self-respect asking for others' money. I honestly wonder what kind of super chats a live stream on his channel would bring in. It's amazing having a job and being able to give money away and not care. Andrew Green with the non-super says, can I ask about Radical's rocket hands?
Oh, of course. What they are, you mean? Because so they are. I got the question a lot these last few days. Now I got more viewers from another age category above 60, and I do apologize if I just aged you in that
Can
category.
you
But
send
they are
Amazing Audits
Facebook.
and international? Can you send an intercontinental facepalm to Amazing Audits?
I'll fire up the cannon.
Cool.
Can I say something real quick? Mrs. Jarhead is watching, and she's doing great in her recovery.
Hello,
Awesome.
Mrs. Jarhead.
Good to hear.
Semper Fi.
Hello.
Oh, hi, Mrs. Jarhead. How you guys doing? How's Mr. Jarhead?
So we got a VIP watching.
Yep.
That's
Um,
also. I mean, let me just address Mary M's super chat. That's also why I'm so quiet. I'm not known for being quiet, but hey, I was not part of the debate, so that's why I was quiet. Sometimes I need to shut up. That's what
Yeah.
you keep telling me.
Mary M for $5. Thanks for your question for Radical.
Oh yeah.
I take it he answered it. Bubba Bobinski for his Canadian $5 says, finally figured it out. Keep up the good work. And
Thank
that's
you.
it for
That was directed
supers.
to me.
You got a member as well, though. Jerry Watt.
I've got a-
He's
get a
a
member.
he's a member of the debunkers now.
Well,
Yep.
thank you. I appreciate all my members. And still, we're going to go out on a high note with 419 still watching. Anybody else got anything to say? I know, Tina, you've probably got something to say about
Link to
all
the after
this.
show.
Yeah, and the link to the after show.
Yeah, I'll wait till later.
But
Yeah,
it's late-
definitely.
Later is now.
No, the after show I meant. Like, I think he has.
Okay, you
really-
can say your piece on the after show. I just
Yeah.
mean, put out the link and everything, and
Yeah, Catnat has been putting in the link to my channel, and as soon as I couldn't put the stream together because I was doing this. So, yeah, it'll go up right after we get off of here. The link will go up. So just keep an eye on my channel, guys.
okay.
Keep refreshing
I
the
expect
main
at least. Yeah, we got 400 people here. If I don't see 300 people over there, then I'll be disappointed in at least some of you.
Here, maybe I can draw a few in. Would you like to discuss the DHS memo in the after show? Because that was where I was going next.
Yeah, actually, let's do that because it's so misunderstood. After I take a bathroom break.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, me
it'll
too.
be at least 10 minutes before we start, so everybody can go pee,
Yep.
and I can shut my dog down. Stop it.
Oh,
And you got to speak into the microphone, Marvel girl.
I am. I'm eating the microphone. Somebody
Yeah, we
needs to
still
get
need
me
to
a
set up your
mixer.
audio.
I need a mixer.
All right, Cliff or Radical, you got anything to say before we shut this down?
I'll do the final super chat. Karen Cookismo, I think that's how I pronounce it, $2, says, my dad was a Marine. Enough said.
Yeah.
Well put.
Semper Fi,
and
double dog.
Other than that, I just want to say thanks everyone for coming. Thanks all for the super chats. You're very generous, and have a great night, everybody. See you at the after show.
Which is on Marvel Girl, and we'll just keep spamming the link in there.
Yeah.
So she still needs to set it up, so that's why
Keep an eye on
there's
my
no
channel.
link to the actual stream yet.
Yeah.
Just explaining it,
All right,
yeah,
I'm going to pop out of here and go to the little boys' room, and I'll see you guys over there.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to come in. I hope I wasn't too boring. I've been told that I, drove people to sleep. And I hope people actually learn something that, isn't the usual misinformation campaign that you hear on the auditing channels.
Oh, no, it was great. I appreciate you being here. Thanks.
So we're
All
done?
right, bye-bye, everybody.
Okay.